Everybody ready? Okay. Good afternoon. Thanks for being here. We have a series of announcements, certainly to the citizens of Philadelphia and folks in the region with regard to this upcoming significant weather event. I'm joined by many of our team who fight these kinds of storms on a regular basis, the full array of coordination by the City of Philadelphia for significant weather events in Philadelphia and the Philadelphia region. These partners from a variety of city agencies, other governmental agencies, and nonprofit organizations. This is a part of the array of the network that we've put together over a series of years to make sure that we are ready and prepared for virtually anything that might happen in Philadelphia, and certainly with regard to weather. And so I'm going to run through a series of announcements. There are also commissioners and department heads who will give you even further update on some of the topics that I touch on. Let me give you the information that we know and the things that we plan to do over the next 48 hours. The National Weather Service right now, in a fairly changing environment, we'll provide continued updates during the course of the day, but for the moment, the National Weather Service is predicting a 10 to 14-inch snowfall with heavy snow beginning this evening, continuing through Tuesday morning. And so what we could be looking at is about 18 hours of off and on snow event activity. The heaviest bands of snow are expected to begin between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. today. Wind gusts of up to 30 miles per hour are anticipated. That is a significant amount of wind. It will have some amount of impact on our snow fighting capabilities as we plow. That wind at those levels will move that snow around and possibly back into areas where we've just been through. Temperatures will also be a challenge. Temperatures will hover around freezing today and drop significantly into the teens overnight. Tuesday morning temperatures we anticipate to be in the low 20s with a wind chill factor of about 10 degrees. Blowing and drifting snow and low temperatures during and after this storm will create challenging conditions for the cleanup efforts. And so again, in many instances, you see our snow fighting forces out, moving snow, plowing areas, making those areas passable. But high blowing winds and plummeting temperatures in the post-storm environment create their own challenges, which are different than just moving snow on our streets. Let's talk about city schools. As you know, Philadelphia Public and Archdiocesan schools dismissed at about 12 noon today. The City of Philadelphia will be dismissing all non-essential employees at 2 o'clock p.m. That kind of designation is significant for our workforce. Employees already know from their respective supervisors who is in which category as it relates specifically to a storm-related event. A decision with regard to city operations and office activities tomorrow will be made later today. It is impossible to predict right now what's going to happen tomorrow, primarily because the weather forecasts continue to change from a variety of services that we use, who are often accurate, but at the beginning of this kind of storm often have differing predictions and different models, and so we're not going to try to predict right now what's going to happen tomorrow. We want to encourage everyone, stay tuned for information around dinner time, about 6 or so this evening. We will provide an update and then be in a better position to talk about overnight, tomorrow morning, and the rest of Tuesday. We will be declaring, through the Managing Director's direction and authority, a snow emergency in the City of Philadelphia at 6 p.m. today. Let me say that again. Under the direction and authority of the Managing Director, the City of Philadelphia will declare a snow emergency at 6 p.m. tonight. For citizens, this means all parked cars that are currently parked on a snow emergency route must be moved before 6 p.m. Let me say that one more time. If your car is parked on a snow emergency route, you must move that car, that vehicle, whatever it may be, before 6 p.m. tonight. As we did last winter and other winters before, there will be heavy, continued, strict, and severe enforcement on our snow emergency routes. This is serious business. Your car, your vehicles parked on a snow emergency route while our public employees are out fighting this storm is disrespectful to their work and interferes with their ability to do the job that they expertly do on behalf of the citizens of Philadelphia. So the very simple message is, if you're on a snow emergency route, move your car. It will be ticketed, it will be towed after 6 p.m., and you're going to spend a fair amount of time looking for it because we're going to move it and tow it. If you have to move your car from a snow emergency route, park your car away from any corner as far as possible. We have, in many instances, of course, and I'll be talking about our conversion of equipment. You see some of our sanitation vehicles, which are very large, other pieces of equipment moving around. They need a certain amount of turning radius to be able to get around a corner. You're parked close to a corner, interferes, again, with their ability to do their work and their job. So when you do relocate your vehicle, please keep it as far away from a corner as parked as possible. Give them the room and the turning radius they need to do their job. If you don't know where the snow emergency routes are, you can find more information and a map of these routes at www.philadelphiastreets.com. Click on Transportation, Highways, and then Snow. These routes are also marked by signs on many of those streets all across Philadelphia. As I mentioned earlier, cars left on snow emergency routes will be relocated to accommodate our snow plowing operations. If your car is relocated, you can call 215-686-SNOW in order to find your vehicle. In our partnership with the Philadelphia Parking Authority, the Parking Authority will offer discounted parking in Center City garages during the snow emergency and until it is lifted to help alleviate parking on our streets. Beginning at 6 p.m. today, the same time as the snow emergency declaration, and running through the end of the snow emergency, whenever we declare it to be over, the Parking Authority will offer a special 24-hour flat rate of $5 for the following parking facilities: the brand new Family Court Garage at 15th and Arch, the Auto Park at Independence Mall at 5th and Market, the Auto Park at Jefferson, 10th and Ludlow, the Auto Park at the Gallery, 10th and Filbert, the 8th and Filbert Street Garage, and the Auto Park in Old City at 2nd and Sansom Streets. You can get more information by going to www.philapark.org for more info. The Streets Department. For those who have normal Tuesday trash collection, trash collection and recycling collection for Tuesday, tomorrow, is canceled. If your regular trash day is Tuesday, tomorrow, trash and recycling collection is canceled. And we're asking those folks to keep your trash and recyclables until next Tuesday, when hopefully all of this snow event is done. The trash trucks that would normally pick up your trash on Tuesday, as I mentioned, they're being converted for plowing operations. That's why we can't pick up your trash, because we're going to be plowing snow. And again, we appreciate those personnel. All rear driveway collections. Some neighborhoods are called driveways, in some neighborhoods they're called alleys. If your normal trash pickup is in the back of your house, whatever you call it, those operations are suspended as of the end of the workday today. We will not pick up trash in the rear of your home. If that's where you normally have your trash pickup, we will not do that. They are suspended until further notice. If you have a rear driveway collection, please put your materials out at the curb until further notice when we announce rear driveway collections to be resumed. Rear driveways are private property, and they often stay iced over for several days after the storm, which is why we're suspending those collections. It is just too dangerous to have those vehicles back there. As much as people plow their fronts, as much as they salt, often driveways do not get the same treatment, and we are not going to put our personnel at risk. The Streets Department has called for a full deployment to fight this storm. 375 pieces of equipment will be on the street during and after the storm. There will be 800 people involved in that event. That's a combination of city and private contractors who work with us. We're converting trash trucks, trash compactors, a variety of vehicles from Parks and Recreation Department, the Water Department, and other city agencies with small, medium, and large vehicles. This is an all-hands-on-deck activity coordinated across every city department and agency. With current snowfall projections, we expect to treat and plow all residential streets within 48 to 72 hours after the snow ends. Let me say that again. With the current snowfall projections, we expect, it is our goal, we are trying to treat and plow all residential streets within 48 to 72 hours after the snowfall ends. Our priority during and immediately after the storm is to clear our snow emergency routes first, move on to our primary streets, our secondary streets, and our tertiary streets. But our goal is to have full clearing of residential streets all across the city of Philadelphia. That does not mean that you will immediately see blacktop on your street. The standard is that the street is passable. Doesn't mean that it will be perfect. It means that you will be able to get a vehicle up and down that particular street. We cannot come to your street 15 times over the course of the next 18 hours of storm. That is impossible. But we are trying to provide service all across the city of Philadelphia. And so just because you don't see blacktop on your street doesn't mean that we haven't been there. But this is a storm that's going to last anywhere from 12 to 18 hours. And so right after we come through your street, if it's still snowing, there's going to be snow in the street. Speaking of snow in the street, after you plow your space, shovel your sidewalk and your steps, do not throw snow back in the streets of our city. First of all, it is a violation of the Philadelphia Code. Secondly, and I think more importantly, it is a violation of human decency to the hardworking Streets Department personnel and other city workers who are out plowing the streets in the first place. And to throw snow back in the street is an insult to the great work that the men and women of the Streets Department and many other agencies do. And you will get fined. That goes for not only folks in residential areas, but also for contractors, many of whom we noticed last year doing work on behalf of private entities or others, took snow out of parking lots and other areas and put that back in the streets as well. You will get fined for doing that. And again, you should not insult the great work of the men and women of the city of Philadelphia who are out doing this work on behalf of all of us. Due to the anticipated dangerous road conditions, please use extreme caution when you are driving. Bridges and overpasses are usually the most slippery areas and spots, and they often develop first. In addition, of course, as we've seen with a couple other weather events earlier this year, a roadway may, in fact, look clear or open. You may even see what you think is blacktop. There actually could be a sheet of ice, a very thin sheet of ice, often referred to as black ice, on those roadways. Please use extreme caution when you're out driving. Please remove ice and snow from car windows, mirrors, the hood and roof of your vehicle, and, of course, your lights in the front and rear of the vehicle. Try to stay inside and off the streets in the course of late this afternoon into the evening. That gives our Streets Department and all of the crews out there the space that they need, the room that they need, and the clear roadways to be able, again, to do their work. The issue about clearing your roof and your hood and all of those areas is not only about your driver's safety, it's also about the safety of folks who may be behind you. It is startling and can cause serious accidents if a whole hood full of snow comes flying into the windshield of a motorist behind you. It's a very, very dangerous condition. All property owners, as everyone knows, are required to clear a path 3 feet wide in front of their property within 6 hours of the end of the snow event, including curb cut areas if you have a corner property. Let's talk a little bit about shoveling. Because this is, in fact, the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, we ask all of our residents, to please try to help your neighbors, if they are not able to clear their steps and sidewalks, especially our senior citizens. Our senior citizens are precious to us. They often cannot do this kind of lifting, especially in a heavy storm event, and shouldn't, in many instances, be doing this kind of work in the first place. That's what friends and neighbors and young people are for. Knock on the senior citizen's door. Ask them, do they need some help? Clear their steps on their own and their sidewalk, and do not charge them. I'm very serious about that. Just do a good thing and help out a senior citizen. You'll get points in heaven if you clear a senior's sidewalk and do not charge them for that kind of activity. We've got some young people here today. We're going to ask them to help out in some of that effort. The great young people with the Power Corps PHL who are with us today. These good young people are going to help us in some of that effort. Seriously, make sure you check on our seniors, our shut-ins, those who may be vulnerable. These are times that often are frightening. They're seeing all of this weather news and other events. They don't know what's going on. And the last thing they need to be worried about is ice or snow on their steps and their sidewalks. In addition, just check on them, see if they need anything from the store or the supermarket. I'm sure everyone by now should have an ample supply of eggs, milk, bread, and cinnamon. Philadelphia is the city of French toast. Everyone apparently has to have French toast during any storm event. I don't know really what that's all about, but apparently it's a big thing. If you need help clearing your sidewalk and you don't have a neighbor or family member who you can reach out to, one of the things you can do is call 311, and we will try to send a volunteer, possibly again one of these great young people who are with us, once conditions are safe and they can help you out. Citizens should also contact the Project Home Outreach Outline. Outreach, you don't want to do the outreach outline, you want to do the outreach hotline. That's 215-232-1984. If you see a homeless person on the streets in need of assistance during the course of the storm. The Code Blue designation went into effect last night at 8 p.m. I mentioned to you earlier the types of temperatures we're experiencing now. It is going to get bitterly cold tonight and overnight. No one should ever be sleeping on the streets, but certainly no one should be on the streets during these kinds of conditions. The operator will ask for a description and an approximate location for that individual, so please try to provide as much information as possible. Again, let us look out for our vulnerable here in Philadelphia. There is a new ordinance in the city of Philadelphia that requires dog owners to bring their pets indoors in the event of extreme cold. Ignoring this could result in a fine of up to $500. If you see a dog or other pet outside, call ACT Philly, ACCT Philly, at 267-385-3800. Please do not leave dogs and pets outside during the course of this nasty weather. A couple other updates, and then you'll hear from some of our content leaders. The city's Emergency Operations Center will begin with a limited activation at 1 p.m. today, with a transition to full activation at 6 p.m. tonight. SEPTA. Bus routes may be delayed, detoured, or suspended. Joe Casey is here. He'll give you more update on that. Customers should check www.septa.org for the latest updates. SEPTA, of course, will provide updates on an immediate basis. 311 is already activated for 24-hour operations until further notice to take calls for non-emergencies. You should call 311 to report a street in need of salting or plowing and get other information. Philadelphia International Airport. Clearly, flights will be delayed or canceled. You should check with your own airline to get specific information in that regard. Lastly, stay tuned to your local news for weather updates, whoever it is that you listen to. Sign up for emergency alerts, weather updates, and transportation delays from the Ready Notify PA at www.readynotifypa.org. For more winter weather tips, visit the Philadelphia Office of Emergency Management hotline at www.phila.gov/ready. You can also follow the the Office of Emergency Management on Twitter. That's at PHILAOEM. Other city Twitter accounts to follow for information: at Philadelphia Gov, at Phila Streets, at Phila 311, at Phila Police, and at Phila Fire Department. That's all I have for you at the moment. We're going to hear from Dave Perry to talk about the snow fighting operations. You'll hear from Joe Casey about SEPTA, and Sam Phillips at OAM. Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dave Perry, Streets Commissioner. Although no one yet will compare the severity of this winter with last winter, for comparison purposes, at this time last winter we had responded to 8 winter weather events. So far this year with today's event, we're up to number 7, and there's a whole lot more winter yet to come. I'm very proud of the efforts of our employees over the past 2 winter seasons. They have made great personal sacrifices, and they've put their heart and souls into making sure the streets of Philadelphia are safe during these winter storm events. In particular, I have with me today Deputy Commissioner Michael Carroll and Chief Highway Engineer Steve Lorenz. They are responsible for the snow fighting operation in Philadelphia. Overnight tonight, the projections are for snowfall rates to exceed 2 inches per hour, and as the mayor said, the winds could reach 35 miles per hour or even stronger. There is no highway department in the area that can keep roads clear during the height of that type of storm event. So I want to recommend that anyone that doesn't need to travel, do not travel overnight during the heart of this storm. And as the mayor said, we know you emptied the Wawas of the milk, bread, and eggs, so use that time to make French toast for tomorrow's breakfast. Our plan for this storm, as the mayor said, is for a full deployment. And what that means is, beyond clearing the streets for clearing the emergency routes, the primaries and secondaries, we'll also have a deployment on the 1,000 miles of neighborhood residential streets, also known as tertiary streets. By approximately 48 to 72 hours after the storm event, we will go up and down every single street and make it passable. It's not too early to make an announcement that we are now expecting an early pothole season in Philadelphia. Please report any pothole conditions that will develop to 311. We were very good last year at getting out, responding to those complaints. You're our eyes and ears out on the street. Get those complaints in when the potholes develop, and we'll get out there immediately. If there's potholes on some of the state routes, such as Broad Street, Market Street, or Frankfurt Avenue, you can either report those conditions directly to the Streets Department, or you can contact PennDOT at 215-POTHOLE. That's 215-POTHOLE. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is the mayor mentioned we have a real issue with commercial plow vehicles plowing parking lots and pushing that snow out in the city streets and out onto traffic islands and traffic medians. Not only is that illegal, not only does that slow down our operation so that it takes us more time to get into the neighborhoods, it's also extremely dangerous. If anyone in the public should notice that's occurring, we would appreciate you reporting that condition to us. If you have pictures or video, you can send it to us through our website or our Facebook or Twitter account, and we're setting up a hashtag plow ticket to handle any request or any instances of commercial plow vehicles plowing snow out into the city right away. Basically, the message is please be safe and drive carefully, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Joe Casey, General Manager for SEPTA. Snow predictions for this afternoon should not affect this evening's rush hour. We're preparing for the snow, anticipate later this evening, and throughout the night. Fortunately, the heaviest snow is predicted to arrive overnight when we have fewer vehicles on the road, allowing us to prepare for tomorrow's rush hour. The decision has been made to continue to run the Broad Street line and the Market Frankfurt line throughout the night. This will replace our OWL bus service along these lines. And we also know historically certain routes have difficulty operating when we have snow. These routes will either be cut back, detoured, or otherwise suspended as the snow progresses this evening. Those routes will be posted on the SEPTA website. SEPTA's command center will be activated and fully staffed this evening, and decisions regarding service tomorrow will be made later on this afternoon. We ask all our customers to pay attention to the news media and also the SEPTA website, www.septa.org. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Sam Phillips. I'm the Director of Emergency Management. I just wanted to reiterate a couple of things that the Mayor and Commissioner Perry shared with you. We've been tracking the storm all weekend. We've been having interagency calls with a number of partner agencies, and we're pretty prepared on our end. We're going to be activating the EOC, a limited activation beginning at 1 o'clock. That's with a core group of transportation agencies and some public safety partners to ensure that we can be ready to respond for an earlier and heavy and potentially complicated PM rush. And then we'll move to a full activation at 6 o'clock tonight, so that brings in even more partners to help us coordinate issues. We're going to be tracking, road clearing, public safety issues, fire department activities. But with a storm like this and with some winds, we could also see some potential power outages and also down limbs and down trees. So the EOC is the main hub for all of that. Please, if you don't have to, stay off the roads. It makes everybody's job much, much easier. It's also the most safe thing to do in a storm like this. Thanks.
I want to make mention, Reverend Bonnie, thank you for being here. The Salvation Army, always a great partner with us. Again, these kinds of events, sometimes things happen, and having a partner like the Salvation Army to work very, very closely with us and residents to make sure that everyone is safe and secure. I want to thank Deputy Police Commissioner Bethel being here on behalf of Police Commissioner Ramsey. The Police Department fully activated for tonight to make sure that folks are safe. And I want to thank Commissioner Sawyer and his team, Commissioner Sawyer, Fire Commissioner, also fully activated for this evening with a particular concern with these kinds of weather events, folks either overexerting themselves, possibly needing EMS services or other events out there. Again, this full level of coordination with police and fire and all the other agencies, Office of Supportive Housing, dealing with issues of homelessness and the like is critical to our overall preparedness plan for the city. Again, let me remind you, at 6:30 at the Emergency Operations Center, there will be another briefing. That's the center located, of course, between 3rd and 4th on Spring Garden in the Fire Administration Building. We'll give a further update about what has happened in the course of the day, as well as what we, as best we know it, what we anticipate overnight for tonight and into the early morning hours of Tuesday into the full Tuesday daytime. With that, we'd be glad to answer or try to answer any questions that you might have based on information that we have at the moment. Mike? We expect to. In the course of the afternoon into the early evening, there'll be a series of discussions and conversations. Again, there are a lot of folks involved in that discussion. City Hall, huge building, a lot of operations, and we also have to try to coordinate with the school district and the archdiocese as well. I can't predict what the schools will do and when they're going to be prepared. I can tell you I fully expect that by 6:30 tonight at the announcement, we should be able to at least be clear about what the city government is doing. We hope to have information with regard to schools, but I never try to speak for them. Yes. Where are you from? Got it. Well, as I said, we're not going to talk about tomorrow until later on this evening when we have a much better sense of where this storm is and what the various models are showing us. So, I mean, again, I'm reluctant to talk about what I don't know at the moment. We try not to do that, especially in these kinds of situations. So we think, based on the models, we think we will know a lot more about overnight, tomorrow morning in the wee hours of the morning, 1, 2, 3 a.m., and then what will the morning rush and early morning look like. And at that point, I think we'll be, later on today, I think we'll be in a much different situation and better able to anticipate or predict what might happen and what we should advise folks to do. Yes, ma'am. So we've had conversations with the state already, the governor's office in particular. What we've established over the last, well, pretty much all of our time, we have a fully coordinated local or city, state, and federal response. Regardless of who's in office, governments have to operate and people have to get information. So the conversation and discussion has already taken place with the governor's office. That will continue throughout the course of the day. We have excellent relations, of course, with FEMA, and we partner with them and talk with them. So when we announce, I mean, for this kind of announcement, I mean, we've already had a certain level of coordination, city, state, federal, and those will continue throughout the course of the day. As we can tell right now, not a whole lot of activity taking place right now. Things are going to change pretty dramatically in I don't want to say a few hours, but soon. And that will ratchet up the level of discussion and coordination. And then there's, of course, the post-storm activity, which is, again, often further information that you have to get to the state and to the federal government in terms of any kind of declaration. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, but we are talking to them. Anything else? Yes, sir. Well, I mean, the public, our experience, I mean, we've had, the first and second worst or heaviest snowfalls in the history of the city during my time as mayor. I think people have taken those storms very, very seriously, and other storms. I'm not predicting, that this one is going to be in that neighborhood, because I think it won't. But I think we have developed a certain level of trust and confidence with the citizens of the city that if you have, 30 people standing at a press conference telling you that there's going to be a snow emergency declared at 6, that you shouldn't travel tonight, that we could have 10 to 14 inches of snow and 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts, I mean, I think at some point folks say, hey, maybe I should pay attention. So, I mean, I think the public here in Philadelphia, folks, we get snow. So I think people do take it seriously, but it is our job and our responsibility, no matter what, every time it happens, to get this information out, present it to the public. People will make decisions, but I think the reason we've had success from a snow fighting standpoint, from a public safety standpoint, from people actually doing what we ask them to do standpoint, I think folks take it seriously when we make these kinds of announcements. And, fortunately or unfortunately, we've been pretty accurate when we've laid out what we think the case is. Anything else? Last question. Mike? I'm sorry? Yeah, I know this is one of the great issues that has vexed this city for the last 500 years. But again, my response on that one is generally it's not actually something that you should do. There are traditions all over the city. I think at the end of the day, common sense should rule. You dug out the space, you're in the space, okay. If you leave for 5 hours, somebody else might come into space. Neighbors usually work these kinds of things out. We have, unfortunately, had some tragedies as a result of, folks who got really upset about things, and then it escalates into something else. What we always ask for is patience, calm, and common sense. Work it out in the neighborhood, and if the one that you dug out is not available, but another one is, kind of figure it out. But from a pure ordinance law standpoint, you're not supposed to save spaces. And what I generally say to folks is, work it out in the neighborhood. You're all neighbors. Let's try to get through this together and not have, some kind of idiocy or bad behavior or even tragedy take place about a parking space. I mean, you got to back up for a second. It's a parking space. It's not worth a fight. Shouldn't be life-threatening, and we shouldn't have people doing really dumb things out in the streets about a parking space. All right, got to go. See you guys at 6:30. Bye.